All right. All right. All right. Well, that's this. Now I'm not. That's good. Rinpoche's picture is what we want, not my friggin' head. All right, man. This I should move to here. This moves to, yeah, that's it. Something stupid like that. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, lie on that. But he's quiet. Strange. That's right. Located in New York City, New Jersey. And this is our voice with you. We're starting early so we can make sure that we can start. So I'm two people. The reason why there's two screens is because I don't have a chat box on this. And sometimes people ask questions about what book or whatever, so I can answer it using the Facebook side. So we're both Facebook and YouTube straight out. And watch, everything goes down. It's the world. It's Samsara. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchab Tarduling, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically the Lamrim Chenmo, or stages on the path to enlightenment. Any problems with the transmission, the sound, etc., please text me or text Darren Smith. We have a chat box now on Facebook. That's why I have two screens up. So if you have questions or so, I can at least see what's going on somewhat. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website. If there's anyone for whom you wish us to pray for when we do Sutra, the recollection of the Noble Three Jewels, put their names in the chat box now or before the end of the class. Don't wait till the last minute because it's like a minute and a half time lag on it. Okay, so we'll start. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception in transcendent knowledge. The mantras proclaim Tayat Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Refuge and Bodhisattva vow, which, as you know, we say 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the misery with which to free all beings. I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So welcome. I just want to see if we're getting out. That's why I put 2 things. Okay, so we are getting out. Okay, great. Because one, Facebook has a chat box, the other one do not, or whatever. He ain't got it. All right. So as we said last night, we're continuing with the 2-part segmentation of our presentation. We do some general Buddhism for people who are new, and for that we're following His Holiness Dalai Lama's Approaching the Buddhist Path, Volume 1 of a 9-volume series, which we'll go through. What this is the modern Lamrim. And you heard last night why Lamrim needs to be updated for the particular society that we're in. This society isn't like Tibet, where everyone didn't question the authority of Buddhism. If you quoted a scripture, of course, that's what. Here it's different, and there's a lot. A different presentation is required, and that's what you're getting now. It's only, this is very modern. So we'll continue with where we left off last night, and this is, we're going to page 12. Hey, and he's talking about the 3 principal challenges of religion today. His take is a little different from ours because he has communism, modern science, and the combination of consumerism and materialism. Well, that's the key one for our society. Communism, for him, he'll explain, is germane because Tibet is under control. Their religious operations are under control of the communist government there, and they can't do this or that. So let him explain. I'll repeat his first 2 lines. Religion in general faces 3 principal challenges today: communism, modern science, and the combination of consumerism and materialism. Regarding communism, if there is real communism anymore, there is just dictatorships. Although the Cold War ended many years ago, communist beliefs in government still strongly affect life in Buddhist countries. For example, in Tibet, the communist government controls who can ordain as a monk or nun and regulates life in the monasteries and nunneries. It also controls the educational system, teaching children that Buddhism is old-fashioned. Modern science, the next point he's making, up till now, has confined itself to studying phenomena that are material in nature. That's their job. Because scientists, by and large, examine only things that can be measured with scientific instruments, this limits the scope of their investigations and consequently their understanding of the universe. Phenomena such as rebirth and the existence of mind as a phenomenon separate from the brain are beyond the scope of scientific investigation. Although they have no proof that these things do not exist, some scientists assume that they do not exist and consider these topics as unworthy of consideration. And remember, we always repeat, in Buddhism, if you want to say something doesn't exist, you have to prove its non-existence, otherwise hold it out. Past lives don't exist, well, prove it. Otherwise, hold out as a possibility. It might, a hypothetical, that's the word we need, the fancy word. He continues, however, in the last 2 or 3 decades, and this is true, I've met many open-minded scientists, and we have had mutually beneficial discussions that have highlighted our common points as well as our divergent views. These discussions have been carried out with mutual respect so that both scientists and Buddhists are expanding their worldview. True. We've seen the Mind and Life conferences where physicists, etc., contribute, psychologists. The third challenge, and this is for the Western society, and that's what it is, the combination of materialism and consumerism. You have words in the lingo now of recreational shopping. Recreational shopping, really? I mean, is your life that hollow that you have to get off buying things? Very sad, really. Think about it. Religion values ethical conduct, which may involve delayed gratification. Oh boy. Whereas consumerism directs us towards immediate happiness, or what they call happiness. We define it differently. Religion stresses inner satisfaction, saying that happiness results from a peaceful mind, real happiness, while materialism tells us that happiness comes from external objects. Religious values such as kindness, generosity, and honesty get lost in the rush to make more money and have more and better possessions. I think that's true. You make your own call on that. As a result, many people's minds are confused about what happiness is and how to create the causes for happiness. So we have to, on our own, sort out what really makes us happy long term and what's short term, consumerism. I always like when all the things that people buy at Christmas, about 6 months later, are out on the curb, and the new things are being bought to fill up the house with junk for those who are wealthy enough to buy this kind of stuff. Sad. As you begin to learn the Buddhist teachings, you may find that some of them are in harmony with your views on societal values, science, and consumerism, and some of them are not. That's fine. Continue to investigate and reflect on what you learn. In this way, whatever conclusion you reach will be based on reasons. This is a very occurring theme here, a leitmotif that goes on and on. Reason, reason, reason. Not simply on tradition, peer pressure, or blind faith. That's the key to his approach to everything. Reason. Next on page, what is it? I can't even read this. The light's so crappy here. 13. It's bright for me, but it's dark for the page. Dharma practice is not comprised simply of one meditation technique. This is entitled A Broad Perspective, this section. Our minds are far too complex for one meditation technique or one Dharma topic to transform every aspect of our minds. Our mind is complicated, as defined in Buddhism. Modern psychology, the Buddhist psychology will claim it's just kindergarten. So let's see, let them explain. Although some newcomers to the Dharma may want one simple technique to practice and may see progress sticking to it, and that's true. That makes sense. A simple thing, watch the breath, do this to start. They should not think that in the long term, this is sufficient to generate all the realizations of the path. So be prepared. The Dharma encompasses an entire worldview, and practice necessitates examining all aspects of your life. It's a total immersion. Some of the Buddha's ideas will be new to you and may challenge some of your deeply held beliefs. Be open-minded and curious. Investigate these ideas and observe your mind as it comes in contact with them. I added that. Check those teachings using reasoning and apply them to your life to see if they describe your experience. Do not accept them simply because the Buddha taught them. And don't reject them simply because they are foreign to your existing ideas. You got to do some work. That's the whole thing. Everyone wants just, oh yeah, like so. He continues, if you cultivate a broad outlook and a deeper view about the meaning of life, you will understand not only this life, but also the existence of many lives to come. In addition, you will understand your own happiness and suffering as well as that of the countless sentient beings who are similar to you in wanting to be happy and to avoid suffering. We haven't even, my little comment is, we haven't defined happiness and suffering exactly. Buddhism will take us by the hand and give us their version of it. See if we agree. This broad view that considers many lives and many sentient beings will contribute to peace and happiness in this life. Yes, this idea, once you come to terms with it in your mind by reasoning, etc., cuts out a lot of the claustrophobia. It's everything is now. You only have one life. You go, hello, this is a long project. If we are chiefly, His Holiness continues, bottom of page 13, if we are chiefly engrossed with our own personal happiness and problems and do not bother much about the happiness and suffering of others, what happens? Our vision is quite narrow. When we encounter difficulties, such a limited view will make us think that all the problems of the world have landed on us. I've heard this from myself. And we are the most unfortunate person alive. Company with a lot of foul language sometimes. This pessimistic way of looking at our own life will make it difficult for us to be happy here and now, and we will drag ourselves through life day and night. It becomes a burden we carry that we put on ourselves. So he continues, on the other hand, if we have a wider view and are aware of the experiences of other sentient beings, then when we encounter difficulties, we will understand that unsatisfactory experiences are not isolated cases happening to us alone, but are the nature of cyclic existence, which we are all in, all except Buddhas and Aryas. So they happen to everyone. This mental attitude will help us to maintain stability in life and face the situations we encounter in a productive way. How do we know this? Try it. Verify it yourself. Have this idea and see if it's true, and then see what it does to the way you encounter your thoughts and life itself. To take it a step further, if we do not think solely about the betterment of this life and allow for the possibility of many subsequent lives, then when we encounter difficulties in the present, we will be better able to weather them and remain positive about the future. Thinking only about the pleasures of this life and putting all our hopes in this life alone, we will feel let down when things inevitably, big word, do not turn out the way we wanted. Well, that never happens. Inevitably don't turn out the way we wanted. Yeah, that party you threw didn't happen, did it? Okay. Therefore, a broad perspective continues. Therefore, a broad perspective of life and an understanding of the nature of dukkha, he defines it as suffering and dissatisfaction, helps us to improve our life now and in many lives to come. At least we're defining the field properly, and we know what we're dealing with. That's all this is saying. He continues, this is on page 14. In the first two of his four truths, the Buddha describes dukkha and its causes, suffering and its causes. We may wonder, why should I think about this? It will only make me more depressed and unhappy. Although reflecting on dukkha, or suffering, and its causes may initially bring some uneasiness, suffering is still there even if we do not think about it in the systematic and purposeful way. It's there anyway. You might as well, what are you going to do about it? Start looking into it, attack it scientifically. If we simply let things take their course, suffering will strike when we are unaware and overwhelm us. We will be confounded regarding the nature of dukkha, its causes, and how to eliminate it, and the feelings of hopelessness and desperation may further complicate our situation and make us even more miserable. I think we know what he's talking about. Say we undergo a certain illness or injury for which we are not prepared. We have the suffering of the ailment. And on top of that, we also suffer feelings of shock and vulnerability. But if we know about a physical condition and calmly accept it, we go to a doctor for treatment because we have accepted the existence of that ailment and are ready to deal with it. Even if the doctor prescribes surgery, we will accept it with happiness because we know that we are following a method to remove the suffering. Similarly, if we know and accept the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence, we will be in a much better position to deal with it when it occurs, and it does occur. We should not simply wait until a tragedy strikes us, but reflect on cyclic existence, learn about it, and have a method to face it. So the reason for all this suffering is not to make us miserable, is to prepare us for what's happening in reality. And then it's not as strong. The suffering is weaker then because we're ready for it. As we now go on to investigate other topics, it is important that you know that I am nothing special. He's saying himself, this holiness. I am a human being just like you. We all have the same potential, and that is what makes one person's experience relevant and expressible to others. If you have the idea that the Dalai Lama is some extraordinary, special kind of being, then you may also think that you cannot relate to or benefit from what I say. That's foolish. Very important. He's not just being humble, he's being humble with a purpose, our betterment. Some people think I have healing powers. Well, if I did, I would have used them to avoid gallbladder surgery. It is because we are the same that you may be able to derive some benefit from my words and experiences. So that's his first chapter. And we're going to go into the second chapter because it's called the Buddhist way, a view of life, not way, view of life. Let me check the time. You know I'm paranoid about time. Not really. So this is page 17 of this volume, Approaching the Buddhist Path. I think it's even an ebook, so I'm always putting up books on the screen. There you go, the screen is better. Our mind determines our state of existence. Our mind determines our state of existence. That's a meditation in itself. Someone with a mind stained by afflictions is a being in samsara. Someone who has eradicated all afflictive obscurations, the first level, mental afflictions and the karma causing rebirth in samsara, is a liberated being in arhat. Not a full Buddha yet, but liberated, not in samsara. Someone whose mind has eliminated even the most subtlest cognitive obscurations is a Buddha. This is determined by the extent to which that person's mind has been purified. In this regard, the sublime continuum, the Ratna Gotra Vibhaga, also we call it the Uttara Tantra, speaks of three types of being: polluted beings who revolve in cyclic existence, unpolluted beings who do not revolve in cyclic existence, and completely unpolluted beings who are Buddhas. A person's level of spiritual attainment does not depend on external features, but on his or her state of mind. You don't know what a Buddha looks like. And we have icons, iconographic representation of the Buddha sitting like this. So external, no, it's the state of the mind. Although we can practice Buddhist meditation and apply its psychology to our lives without becoming Buddhists, understanding the Buddhist worldview is essential to glean the full impact of the Buddhist teachings. You have to know the context within which the Buddha is teaching. Makes sense. So, in this chapter, we will investigate some of the most important aspects of the Buddhist worldview: the nature of the mind, the self, the four truths of the areas, or four noble truths, the dependent arising in emptiness, our old friend, and the possibility of ending suffering. Oh yeah, that I'm interested in that. We can do that first. What is mind? I don't know. Modern science focuses principally on gaining knowledge about the external world of matter. Scientists have developed sophisticated tools to manipulate even subatomic particles that have created instruments to measure minute changes in the chemical and electrical states of neurons as they examine our brain. Oh, this, nice, good, very helpful. We now know about stars light years away from Earth and tiny organisms that our eyes cannot see. For instance, the COVID virus. Oh. He continues on page 18. While science has made great strides in understanding the external world, matter, and its subatomic components, it has not given as much attention to the inner world of mind, consciousness, and experience. Science lacks a cohesive concept of mind, its nature, causes, and potential. At this point, it does, but I think they'll develop it when they start meeting the Buddhist ideas. And while there is, and he continues, while there are many books about the anatomy and physiology of the brain, the mind is rarely mentioned. Again, this separation from the Buddhist point of view, the physical brain and consciousness. They bifurcate them, they combine them, conflate them, whatever the word you want to use in science. The mind is the brain, and that. Buddhism says no. And you could imagine certain of, if you don't have to believe this, but they have these meditations where a person leaves a body and is cognizant and is an illusory body. There's no brain operating it, but the person still has consciousness and is doing things. But that's an example, a reason you would use only for a believer. So let him continue. Nowadays, many people, we're still on page 18. Nowadays, many people who think about the mind explain it in terms of material phenomena. Well, that's how we think. So neurologists portray it in terms of the actions of neurons, especially those in the brain. Behavioral psychologists describe it by referring to a person's deeds and speech. Cognitive scientists studied perception, thinking, and mental processes in terms of external measurable behavior and brain activity. Cognitive therapy is very popular these days. The difficulties with these models is that they do not give us any means to accurately or deeply understand experience. Scientists may tell us about the neural events in the brain, the hormonal reactions that accompanies compassion or anger, and people's behavior when they are angry. But this does not convey what these emotions feel like, what the experience of them is. This is tough territory here. It requires a lot of thinking. Other people think of the mind as an immaterial, permanent self or spirit, but they too are not able to suggest tools to observe consciousness. The Buddhist teachings may be considered a science of mind, and it is. It's one of the three things Buddhism is, in that they provide a complete study of the mind, setting forth specific means for observing it, delineating the various types of consciousness and mental factors, making known the mind's potential, and describing ways to transform the mind. That's science, right? It's only so he says there's three components to Buddhism: Buddhist religion, Buddhist science, and Buddhist philosophy. You could have those two without having a Buddhist religion, and you still learn an awful lot, a hell of a lot. Okay. The nature of mind is not material, His Holiness says. All right, we got that. It lacks the tangible quality of physical objects. No weight, no size, none of the things that our senses can take in. While mind and brain are related and affect each other when a person is alive, the mind is distinct from the physical organ of the brain. Mind, consciousness, interposed the way he's speaking, they mean the same thing. They're distinct from the physical organ of the brain, which is matter and can be investigated with scientific instruments that measure physical events. The brain itself is matter. You could see electric charges in it, blah, blah, blah. Okay? The mind is what experiences. It is what makes an organism sentient. Okay? The mind is what experiences. It is what makes an organism sentient. Those of us who have sat with the body of a deceased loved one know that while his or her brain is still there, something else is missing. What is no longer present is the mind, the agent that experiences what life presents and is the essential differentiating factor between a corpse and a living being. That's it. So there's some proof right away, crude as it is, that consciousness is not the brain. Buddhism has a 2,600-year-old history of investigating the mind. Many treatises about the mind were written in ancient India, where the Buddha lived, as well as in the countries to which Buddhism had spread throughout the centuries. In recent years, fruitful dialogue between Buddhists and scientists has begun, and I have great interest in seeing how this dialogue develops and the positive contributions to the well-being of sentient beings that it will produce. It will produce. Those of you who are curious about this, you can go on the Dalai Lama channel, look up Mind and Life conferences between psychologists, neurologists, physicists, and you'll see how the Buddhist dialogue with them is very, very interesting if you have time. Well worth your while. Takes, so education in itself. He continues, let's go a little more on this, then we have to go to work. Every topic in this series relates to the mind. We will look at the mind from many perspectives, its nature, causes, potential, functions, levels, and so on. We will investigate what obscures its potential and how to cultivate the antidotes to those obscurations so as to reveal the potential of the mind in its wondrous glory that we call full awakening or Buddhahood. That's our destiny, that's our right, that's our whatever you want to call it. We have to, the seed of it in us, and we have to develop that. Why are we suffering rather? We don't have to. The Sanskrit word translated as mind may also be translated as heart. From a Buddhist perspective, expressions like he has a kind heart or her mind is very intelligent both refer to the same entity, the consciousness, the conscious, rather, experiential part of a living being. He has a good heart, she has a good brain, good mind, rather, etc. So that all refers to the conscious experiential part of a living being. The term includes them. When they use the term mind here, they mean it in that respect. Although our mind, he continues, although our mind is right here with us and we use it all the time, we don't understand it very well. Do you? He continued. In the Buddha Dharma, the mind is defined as clarity and cognizance. Clarity indicates that unlike the body, the mind is not material. Clarity also indicates that when the mind meets with certain conditions, it is able to reflect objects like a clear mirror. Due to its quality of cognizance, or knowing sometimes it's called, it can engage with or cognize the object. So here, we'll end on this paragraph because it's very key. From our own experience, we know that our mind changes from moment to moment. That quality of changeability indicates that it is under the influence of causes and conditions, our favorite topic. That quality of changeability indicates that it is under the influence of causes and conditions. Each moment of mind arises due to its own unique cause. So you don't have to battle your mind now. Watch, it's under the influence of causes. Oh. The previous moment of mind is the cause. Whatever's on your mind right now, the previous moment of mind caused, and then it's causing the next moment. The mind is a continuum, a series of mind moments that we call a mind stream. Each being has his or own mind stream. Mind streams or parts of individual mind streams do not merge. Because the mind is influenced by other factors and changes in each moment, when the appropriate conditions are present, mental transformation occurs. That's good news. A mind that is flooded with disturbing emotions can become one that is peaceful and joyful. You're not stuck with the pile of worries that you have and everything else. I was tempted to use harsher language, but I didn't. So we'll leave it at that because we'll pick it up next time when the mind has two natures, conventional and ultimate, which we've had a lot of talking about lately. So back to the Lamrim. We're going to go to chapter 12. It's already been covered, but we'll do snippets of it. Short chapter. We'll go first to the Lamrim itself, the root text. R-O-O-T, root text. Are we still live? Jeremy coming out okay? Yeah. All right, good. Okay. So, chapter 12, and it's called Rational Analysis. It's a short chapter. I'm rich. I'm multi-page with dollars. I'm never broke. Only one topic in this chapter. And the chapter itself starts on page 155, which is not marked. The only thing it's going to consider, the only topic, it's listing 4 topics which get covered in the next chapters, but the first topic gets covered in this one. You cannot eradicate conventional phenomena by refuting them through investigating whether they are capable of withstanding rational analysis. So this whole chapter is talking about the validity of everyday worldly view and this and that and how valid is it. It's really valid. Oh, you mean the ultimate? No. They're both equally important. The ultimate nature of something and the conventional nature, equally important. There's a view that the conventional is just ignorance, and when you realize the real thing, you see empties, that's it. Everything else is ignorant. Not so. Be careful. So we'll start. Page 156. A proper analysis, Sankapa says, whether these phenomena, forms and such, exist or are produced in an objective sense is what we call a line of reasoning that analyzes reality, or a line of reasoning that analyzes the final status of being. Geshe Sopa will explain this a lot more clearly, but we'll just go over some of the points of it and then go to Geshe Sopa. But this particular analysis that we're doing is focusing only on one aspect of a thing. Its mode of being, not its particularities and what distinguishes it from this and that, the typewriter from the computer, the this from the that. Its mode of being. That's what ultimate analysis does. That's all it does. Since we Madhyamikas do not assert that production of forms and such can withstand analysis by such reasoning, our position avoids the fallacy that there are truly existent things. Here's already a problem. Withstand analysis. What kind of analysis? You don't apply this analysis to conventional things. Because then, they don't exist. Wrong. This kind of analysis is just looking for the mode of being, or if there is an inherent existence in things that we see. Question: if these things cannot withstand rational analysis, then how is it possible something to exist when reason has refuted it? And the answer is you are mistakenly conflating the inability to withstand rational analysis with invalidation by reasoning. Many who have made this error claim that production and such exist even though rational analysis of reality refutes them. This is restless chatter, so we do not agree. To ask whether something can withstand rational analysis, to ask whether it is found by a line of reasoning that analyzes reality. So the key word here, rational analysis. For what? It's only looking for its mode of being. It's not looking for if it's there or not to the normal senses and everything. That's a given. In fact, you're studying something that appears to your senses. How can you say it's not there? Hello. So Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 says, because our analysis is intent upon seeking intrinsic nature, well, that doesn't tell us anything. So this, Sankapa continues on page 156. This is seeking to discover whether forms and so forth have an intrinsic nature that is produced, ceases, and so forth. Right away, if it's intrinsic, it doesn't come from someone stay around and leave. If it's intrinsic, it's frozen. It's static. It's not interactive. It's not contingent. We can go on and on. It doesn't exist. Intrinsic existence doesn't exist conventionally or ultimately. It ain't around. Thus, the analysis, he continues, that searches to see whether forms and so forth have production and cessation that exist essentially, key word again, you got to put that in your brain when you read this stuff. It is not that this line of reasoning searches for mere production and cessation. What His Holiness calls like things, if you don't analyze them, they're there, they're fine. But if you start analyzing what makes this thing, you can't find anything that makes it inherently what it is. There's no inherent existence. Everything is a dependence. This is something that we're announcing now. We probably don't understand it, but we'll come around to understanding it soon if we do our jobs and study. Therefore, this line of reasoning is said to analyze reality, quote, because it analyzes whether production, cessation, and so forth are established in reality. In other words, what is it that's there that you point out to? And that's it. That's it. No more questions. Never. When such a line of reasoning analyzes or searches for production and so forth, it does not find a trace of them. They are unable to withstand analysis. However, close the door. Listen to this. The fact that this line of reasoning does not find them does not entail that it refutes them. They're still there. Rather, reason refutes something that, if it did exist, would have to be established by reason, but which reason does not establish. Conventional consciousness established the production and cessation of forms and so forth. Although forms and such exist, reasoning consciousnesses do not establish them. Reasoning consciousness is looking for ultimate reality. We can't see ultimate reality. We can't see intrinsic. Where is it? But everyday reasoning. Is this a good horse or not? Is this a nice car or not? All those reasons are valid. The thing is there. It's got a purpose. Is this good for the purpose it's supposed to serve? Yeah, well, then I'll buy it. That's good, sensible, rational analysis that we use constantly all day long. Well, we should, especially when we go buy things. But anyway, why am I laughing? It's not that funny. Therefore, while reason does not find forms and such, how could it refute them? It's not looking for whether they're there in the first place, superficially or conventionally. It's just looking to see what's underneath them. And you're assuming that underneath them is some inherent thing that's there that makes it different. And then we find out, no, there's nothing there. What's making it different? We'll have a sneak preview. Your designating mind is making it different. You're conceptualizing and making it, oh, that's this and that's that. It depends on you. It depends on the designating consciousness, the most subtle form of dependency. You'll hear this on and on, hopefully. But get around with this. This is reality. You should try to make friends with these ideas. They'll help you. They'll go to bat for you. It doesn't refute them. So these people go, there's nothing there, there's the vacuity. They're mistaking an experience of emptiness that's looking for inherent existence and doesn't find it. It's looking for inherent existence, this kind of reasoning. It's not looking for the thing itself. Oh. No. For example, a visual consciousness does not find sounds, but this does not refute them. This is similar. Right. You can't see any sound with your eyes, but doesn't mean that sound doesn't exist. Because visual consciousness is only interested in a certain area. That's its sphere of authority. This kind of reasoning has one sphere of authority. Is it inherently existed or not? Never mind that it's there. We know it's there. We're examining it. Does that make it a little easier? I don't know. So therefore, on page 157, Sankapal, our friend and yours, says, if production, cessation, and so forth existed essentially, in other words, inherently, you got to catch these words as they roll around. If they were established in reality, then reason would have to find them because it accurately analyzes whether forms and such have essentially, again, existent production and cessation. Since such analysis does not find production and so forth, it refutes production, cessation, and so forth that exist essentially, not exist conventionally. Yes, we know if we light a match, a fire starts. It produces a fire. Yeah, we got it. Essential existence is a different category, different sphere of authority. That kind of mind is looking for something else. That is in reality. For if they existed essentially, that analysis would have to find them, but it does not. For example, when a searcher was certain to find the pot in the east, if it is there, searches in the east for a pot and does not find it, this refutes the existence of a pot in the east. Yet how could it refute the mere existence of a pot? Simple. Since the Madhyamaka analysis is certain to find essentially existent production, if such exists, when it does not find production, this constitutes a refutation of intrinsically or essentially existent production, not normal production. I have to burlesque it because it's hard to get through my mind. How could it refute mere production? So then he quotes Chandrakirti. I think we'll pick up Chandrakirti's quote in Geshe Sopa's translation. But let's hear Sankapal, the translation of the staff that did the Lamrim. Chandrakirti is commenting on Aryadeva's 400, which is a very seminal Tibetan text. It's in English as Yogic Deeds of the Bodhisattvas, or maybe it's got a different title now, but it's the 400 verses, Katusataka, something like that. Chandrakirti says, therefore, when reason analyzes in this way, there is no essential nature that exists in the sensory faculties, objects, or consciousnesses. That's right. You yourself don't inherently exist. Your mind, etc., that's doing these things doesn't inherently exist. Hence, they have no essential existence, meaning inherent, meaning intrinsic, no essential existence. If they essentially existed, then under analysis by reason, their status as essentially existent would be seen even more clearly. But it's not. Therefore, they are established as empty of intrinsic nature. Please rise and give a standing ovation to Chandrakirti. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Chandrakirti Sankapa continues, repeatedly allows that these conventionalities, such as forms and sounds, do exist. I agree with what the world says, he said in a later quote. So you say they're not there at all because you've had the experience of a void. Well, you and the world could argue, and I'll follow the winner. The world will win. So, however, they are not in the least established by reasoning that analyzes reality. That is, analyzing whether they have intrinsic nature, but they have conventional nature. Am I repeating this? Oh, it's necessary because we're so ingrained the other way. Thus, the scrutiny of reason is not applied to them. Also, Sankapa is repeating, not me. The scrutiny of reasoning is not also, so you leave it alone. You don't do ultimate analysis when you're trying to evaluate something. Should I buy this property? Should I marry this person? Blah, blah, blah. It's not the time. Well, it's the inheritance. Just do this person. Shut up. Use normal analysis. But when you use the high intrinsic existence analysis, looking for that inheritance, you're not going to find anything. You find the lack of it or the emptiness of it. Or as Alex would like to say, the voidness of it. Chandrakirti often says that it's those who are incompetent at positing conventionalities, who claim that conventionalities are destroyed when upon rational analysis, reason does not find them. These people don't know how to establish conventionalities. And then nothing matters then. They carry on that way and make themselves more miserable. We don't want to do that. Let's play dumb. It's very good in this area. So let's just accept what the world accepts and get on with it. Geshe Sopa's take on the whole thing. Rational analysis. Here we are. This is Lamrim 5, page 133, but he said Sankapa shows that none of these opponents is able to disprove the distinguishing feature of Madhyamaka. And what is the distinguishing feature of Prasangika Madhyamaka, or Madhyamaka in general? Mutual dependence of the conventional and the ultimate. Mutual dependence of both, the conventional and the ultimate. They're equally valid. There's some schools that say the ultimate is it, everything else is just for idiots and commoners. Come on, stop it. So he right away gets into the chapter, distinguishing features of Madhyamaka. We'll skip around. I'm on page 134 of Geshe Sopa's Steps on the Path of Enlightenment, Lamrim 5. The Facebook people see it, the other people don't. But anyway, you got the idea. You could also text me and I'll tell you where these books are. They're in the library upstairs here. If you make it out to South Orange, you sit up there and look out at the foliage and fall asleep reading it. You feel better. I'm joking. So 2 types of rational analysis, conventional and ultimate analysis. That's all. You can't say analysis. What kind? Makes a big difference. Oh, we analyze it. How did you analyze it? It's mode of being, that's apparent reality, conventional, fine. Or looking for its underlying ultimate reality. 2 different types of techniques are used. So don't confuse me. Here, we're analysis. You got to ask what kind. Conventional analysis is used in making everyday distinctions. We identify a horse, for example, in terms of its conventional nature and can distinguish between a horse and a cow. He's out in Wisconsin when he wrote this. Plenty of horses and cows around there. We can ascertain whether a particular horse is male or female, big or small, fast or slow, and so on by examining its conventional characteristics. Normal analysis. Racetrack analysis. You going to put your money on this one or not? They're not looking for the ultimate being of all the horses. No. So conventional analysis deals only with the conventional nature of things. Each thing has its own conventional identity, described in terms of its characteristics and given a name. Simple. When we search for a thing conventionally, we try to find something that fits that identity. When we look for a bearer of the name horse, we can find it. No, there's the horse over there. There's the cow. There's the rabbit or whatever. In contrast, now ultimate analysis, what is he talking about? Ultimate analysis used to investigate a thing's final mode of being. He likes that expression, final mode of being. We do not use it to make conventional distinctions between things, nor to identify them in terms of their various characteristics. No, another type of reasoning is used. I guess you're getting it now, right? I smell it. Ultimate analysis investigates only the true nature of a thing or person. Ultimate analysis, what's underneath it, the true nature. We use ultimate analysis to search for inherent identity, something that exists from the side of the object as a referent of its name and not dependent on a naming consciousness. It exists there by itself. Does it? We shall soon investigate to find out. In searching for that essential nature, we are not satisfied by the usual use of a term such as horse, arrived at through conventional analysis. When using ultimate analysis, again, we said what kind? We are looking for the inherent nature of the horse, an entity that exists from its own side as a real referent of the word horse. When we start to look, we see that the term horse is a label imputed, added on, tagged on, whatever you want to put for the word imputed, on the body, the head, the collection of parts, and other factors combined. Who's imputing? The consciousnesses that see it are imputed. You, me, the groom, the horse trainer, whatever. It expresses a conceptual convention that combines certain factors together and thinks of them as a whole thing. This whole thing is what we call a horse, a car, whatever. In ultimate analysis, we search for a referent of the term horse. Why do we call it a horse? Existing from its own side. There must be something there that makes it a horse, independently of being merely labeled. Well, usually we do not examine this at all. We don't have time. We're busy. Send the horse. Usually we do not examine this at all. We just accept the existence of a horse. However, when doing ultimate analysis, we ask, what does the word horse really refer to? So why are we even bothering doing this? The ultimate, we have to know, because this idea we have deep in our minds that things inherently exist creates a claustrophobic situation for us. Things are there, we're here, we're against the world. Nothing can be, and that's not the case of reality. Reality flows and we're part of it. So misery occurs when we think this way. Misery disappears, and enlightenment happens when we start realizing that everything we're naming and thinking is so solid is just imputed by consciousnesses. It's a workable situation, including our own minds. We don't have to be stuck with this thing. It's inherent. These terrible things I have, you can get rid of them. So that's the reason why we're going through all this. There's a reason. It's not just a philosophical parlor game on your one-upsmanship and debate and, so-and-so said this. That's fine. That's for sharpening your mind if you have the right motivation. But that's what, but there is a reason why we get in the weeds on this kind of stuff. So I'm getting more and more confusing to you, so I'll shut up and let Geshe Sopa talk. So we ask, what does the horse really refer to? First, we find a group of five aggregates that function as the basis of the name horse, but this combination of the five aggregates, the form and psychological factors of the horse, actually a horse? No, it is not. Next, we look among the aggregates. What is the part? What is this? What is that? We look outside and inside, part by part, from hoof to head, for a real horse that exists from its own side. And that was not one that was named and designated by us. Try as we might, however, we do not find anything that answers to what we originally thought of as a horse. We find only various parts and collections of parts. None of them is the real horse. So one by one, we set them aside and keep trying to find the real horse. What at first appears to the referent of the word horse gradually dissolves. He's giving you an experience of emptiness now. So we look, where is it? Is it this or that? You could take a car and do it that way. In the end, we find nothing. We cannot find an inherently real horse, either within the aggregates or outside the aggregates. We cannot find it by analyzing the basis on which the horse is conventionally imputed. Since we cannot find any inherent identity of a horse, when we search within the basis of its name, we ascertain that a horse is not able to withstand ultimate analysis. If we did find something as a result of this type of investigation, it would virtually say to us, here I am, I'm the horse. Oh, it's Mr. Red. I'm the horse. No. We would be able to say that a horse is able to withstand ultimate analysis. Some Tibetan monastic textbooks define the ability to withstand ultimate analysis as when the referent of a conventional label is sought, it is found. Fine. Thus, the meaning of not being able to withstand ultimate analysis is when the referent of a conventional label is sought, it is not found. That's what happens. If something were able to withstand ultimate analysis, then it would do so in terms of ultimate rational analysis and in terms of ultimate valid understanding. Both of these types of analysis concern understanding whether things exist in the ultimate sense by their own nature, from their own side, inherently, essentially, real. That's all synonyms. Thus, ultimate analysis concerns shunyata. Sankapa emphasizes that ultimate analysis is not concerned with conventional reality. Conventional things are neither sought nor found by ultimate analysis because this is a matter for conventional analysis only. Since the Madhyamikas do not accept that conventional things are found by ultimate analysis, they do not incur the fault of implying that things are truly or inherently existent. So, this can be confusing. Page 135, Geshe. So, the basis of investigation of an ultimate analysis is usually a conventional thing. We're looking at something, a car, whatever. However, ultimate analysis does not look to find that conventional thing itself because this is a matter for conventional analysis. Ultimate analysis looks to find the referent of a conventional label, what's underneath it. Such an entity can only be found by ultimate analysis if it inherently exists or exists from its own side. Thus, to be found by conventional analysis, to be found by ultimate analysis are completely different. They're using the word analysis, but they mean two different things. Another place where you might get tripped up if you're not reading alertly. It is easy to misunderstand this point. Suppose someone asks, if something is not able to withstand ultimate and withstand analysis, then how can that thing negated by reasoning exist? The questioner thinks that because a horse is not found by ultimate analysis, it is totally non-existent. He didn't define analysis properly. Conventional analysis or ultimate. There are two types. We don't have this sense of analysis in language. To analyze something is to take it apart, synthesize, put it together. We don't have that. We don't have two types of analysis, looking for its mode of being, looking for its conventionality. We only have the conventional view of analysis. You have to understand that here so you don't get tripped up when you start skating through these texts, rollerblading, whatever you do. The questioner thinks that because horse is not found by ultimate analysis, it is totally non-existent. His mistake is to think that being unable to withstand ultimate analysis is the same as being negated by ultimate analysis, but they are not the same. Many people, including some earlier Tibetan Madhyamika scholars, they must have been real early because this was written 600 years ago, confused being unable to withstand ultimate analysis with being refuted by ultimate analysis. So we'll leave it at that because it's sticky, but it's very important. And again, language is a big factor. The meaning we give to a word isn't the meaning they're using in this context. So we can get thrown off the track very easily. So it's very important to spend a little time defining the terms. For whom will we pray? Let's see who we got here. I have a chat box. Yay! No, not much. Bulla Bulla. Who else? Darren, you got any names?
No names, sorry.
No names. So it's the normal for people we've prayed for before. Middle East, Ukraine. Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak, Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha, Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pity. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha, the great jnana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So our next presentation will be Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and you can come here in person for the White Tara Sadhana, which we've been doing for 40 years here. It's leaf time here in New Jersey, so you can come on out and enjoy the leaves while you have a snack. So that's 1 o'clock Saturday. And the next Dharma class is Tuesday evening. We're on Tuesday evening at the University Settlement House, 273 Bowery in the Lower East Side of New York, or the East Village, whatever you want to call it. And the class after that will be next Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. We will be having a class. Most of you should not drive to here, to where we are, because unless you live around the corner, traffic will be horrendous. We're online. So that's it. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Big love to all of you.